Hi, welcome to Startup Out of the Box with Silva and Vitor Domingos.
On this episode, we'll discuss innovation, fixing problems, two pizza teams, and also a review of YCombinator startups demo.
Demo day.
Exactly.
That was yesterday or the last 2 days.
Yeah, the last 2 days. Two demo
But talking
days.
about pizza and making an homage to Homer Simpson. Pizza. Or donuts, that works.
Right, so probably should start with that. The two pizza teams. So it's a concept of having smaller teams to work on, where you can feed them with two pizzas.
Yeah.
That's pretty much around what?
3-4 people. Depends on the people.
Depends on the pizza then.
Also,
we're talking about 2 large pizzas, so roughly
that.
around 10 people, 12 people, about that for teams. So
and that concept came from most famously from AWS.
Yes.
That's the concept of building their products, building their services was always around this concept of 2 pizza teams. So teams that are small, that are agile, that have the capability to quickly develop something new on their own, and they have all the skills they need internally in their team. They don't depend on other teams to build the product.
Mm-hmm. They're more easily to manage. You can catch up with them faster.
Mm-hmm.
You probably not gonna have a lot of communication issues, and probably you don't need Slack because you can talk to each other.
Well, unless you're remote, so
exactly.
But then you're not gonna have pizza altogether.
Exactly, you get the point.
Yeah.
Also, there's this kind of concept where actually every startup, when you reach a volume, which I believe 3 or 4 kind of pizza teams, then you start a new branch or a new startup or a new area just on the side. So don't have a large of 50, 100 people under the same team. Just create smaller teams, put managers managing that, and then move along them. So create product teams, create other type of infrastructure to support your own employees, rather than just put them in one bag and let them.
Instead of creating like a back-end team, a front-end team, no, give the team all the skills they need. So that team should have someone that knows front-end, someone that knows product design, someone that knows back-end or databases, depending on what you need for that team. That team should have all the skills needed to develop that feature or that product and release it outside without depending on no one else.
Exactly.
Of course, then if you have multiple teams will usually depend on one another for contracts, for APIs, something like that. But the big concept is the team has all the freedom and capabilities to do that.
To do that kind of work, which brings then the two themes, which is fixing problems and innovation.
Yep.
So we've been talking about this earlier, and I think that they are quite these two themes. They are quite they can be together, but they might in many organizations they are like separate things. So when you talk about fixing problems, is actually any kind of technical depth that you can have within your team, right? So any kind of issue that came from previous product developments or infrastructure development, something that you actually
there's always
something that you just missed, or a bug or a bunch of bugs that you need to fix, but you don't fix that on the next iteration of the product, of the service, and then you just have this kind of technical depth that you can actually it's going to hurt you on the long term.
Yeah, sometimes it's explicit. The team acknowledges like, okay, we're going to take a shortcut here because we need to release this feature. So we acknowledge that this is not the correct way to do it. So we will plan it in the future versions to fix it somehow, but we will make a team decision. Yes, this is the way we want to go, and we will know that this is technical debt.
Exactly.
But it also might be people won't see it because, well, they decided to do something, they thought it was the right way, and some weeks later they realize this is wrong, but now we can't fix it at the moment. We have to live with this, maybe make some patches, some shortcuts, but and that's the way technical debt comes from mostly. It's problems that have been then accumulating, and this is something that teams and companies need to acknowledge. It's not something new. It's not something special or wrong. Every development team does this. So it's if some managers will look at you, and when you tell them like we need to refactor or we need time to fix all bugs, they will look at you like, what, you guys don't know what you're doing? How come there's problems we need to be fixing? There shouldn't be problems to fix for on past things. But this always happens. It's natural in the development process.
Yeah, which then brings to the innovation side. So a lot of people just think that innovation is creating new things and putting new things on the market or develop new things. But actually, there's a lot of innovation by just looking at the things that you did in the past that either are wrong or they have bugs or you need to fix it.
Or understanding the business.
Exactly. So you can just go back in time and put some innovation on the things that you did before and do it better, do it faster, do it cheaper. And that's where actually a lot of innovation comes from, right? It's not just having a groundbreaking idea of building a new product or a new service, but actually is going back in time, see what you did before, and actually improving that and improving the service or deliver a better service to your customers.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's something that many startups take wrong, maybe because of the Silicon Valley culture, that unless you're going to be groundbreaking and the next billion-dollar unicorn company, that's not innovative. But innovation comes also in steps. If you can create a product that's 10-20% better than what's in the market, and users realize that 10-20% it's much better, it's going to be easier for them to use, or will give them more value. For them, they might see this as a big innovation.
Exactly.
And even for banks, like a small innovation in banks or in insurances or big traditional companies, just a small percentage improvement might mean millions for them.
Oh yes.
So a small improvement is a big innovation for them. And comes into teams. Sometimes teams think, okay, we have to create something new, and they just work in their small silos. But to have proper innovation in a company, teams need to understand the business. They need to understand what the business wants to do, what issues are in the business, what problems but the business is facing. Because usually, by understanding those concepts of business-wise, they can see which problems can we tackle that will create a massive amount of value for the company, and not create something that they might work for 3 or 4 months, and then at the end of the month, someone higher in the chain comes to them like, yeah, we don't need that. That's kind of useless. And
so exactly. So bottom line, there's a lot of innovation that you can do by just fixing things and improving them. But also there's a lot of innovation where you can just create new things and create and look at the market, see where the market goes, and build something to overcome that market or build that innovation forward. And which brings us to probably our last theme of today, right? So, which is review of the YCombinator startups. So there were at least 2 days of YCombinator startups. We're talking about 64 startups unveiled at YCombinator Demo Day, so the 2018. And just looking at some of them, it's quite amazing how they actually got there. So because there's a lot of
so I haven't seen that list, so I'm waiting for Vitor to start telling me some of them, to start telling me some of the things that he saw.
This is quite interesting, and because also because our episode, it's been done on podcast, it's being played on YouTube, but actually we're gonna have probably this part of the program also on LinkedIn. So we're gonna have just a short kind of preview and episode of setup out of the box on LinkedIn as well. So this might be a good thing just to start conversation with our listeners and I would say readers, but not actually listeners.
Yeah, tell us what you think. Tell us if you saw this list of 64 startups, which one was more interesting for you, or which one was more shocking that shouldn't be on this list?
There's a lot of them. To be honest, I think that there are some interesting companies. So I'm just looking at day 2. Let's start with there's a lot of stupidity, in my opinion, here on these startups. So let's take this as an example. There's a startup that it's a social network for sexual misconduct reporting software. So you have two people that actually have been harassed on work. You go into this network, you put a photo or phone number of the people that actually harassed you. If they match with someone else that did the same, a lawyer gets in contact with you to go to court.
I'm thinking of all the legal problems around that issue.
There you go. So there's one startup about that. It's going to be amazing.
And so they're going to profit out of people's problems and stress.
Yes. There's another one that's called Bump, which is a peer-to-peer streetwear marketplace. There you go. There you go. Streetwear marketplace. There's One Wealth that wants to improve the treatment of canine cancer by using genomic testing and gene sequencing to improve diagnosis and efficacy of treatments.
No, that's a big market. That's gene treatment, it's biology. Okay,
it is, but it's just a smaller market. So we're just aiming for niche markets right now.
Well, if they can prove they have a method to detect cancer cells from there, they can. The animal market is a really big market.
There's even a better one. There's a company which is an API for dental insurance. There you go. I got your reaction.
Okay, as a user, if I want to look for dental insurance, okay.
There's another company that's going to make personalized protein shakes, because that was one thing that no one ever did before.
Soylent.
Yeah.
Oh no, Soylent is meal replacement protein. Okay, protein shakes. Yes.
There's one that's quite cute. This one, which is called U-Team. U-Team is a company that lets you rent engineers who work at consulting firms, but aren't currently doing anything.
So consulting firms. So isn't it the business model for consulting firms and freelancers?
This is amazing. This is amazing. The startups that are here. There's another company that wants to bring executive coaching to entire companies. Another company that uses AI to teach English.
Duolingo.
There's a company who wants to be the open table for world's top restaurants, because OpenTable doesn't do that already. This one is quite cute, and probably we should end with this one. This came from day 2. This is a company that's called Pathrise, and they want to help. They help train students to get better jobs. Okay, right? They train students to get better jobs, and in exchange for a percentage of their future salary via an income sharing agreement. So it's like college, like university, but they got a percentage of your salary in the future.
It's like the loans here in the UK. So if I know you're in the UK, in the United States, you can take loans to go to college, to go to university. And then you pay a percentage of that loan based on your income every month.
Yeah.
So that means instead of you needing to take a loan, you can just go to them and do that from the beginning. So
I'm not sure who's going to do this.
It
seems like some kind of stupid idea. Just because someone's going to train you for a better job, and then you're going to get a percentage of your income.
For how long?
It's still uncertain. But probably should end with this one, because I can see you're going to need this in the future. So it's a company that's called LUS, which makes hair care products for curly hair. And that's it.
I'm not going to comment on that.
And that's it. That's Startup Out of the Box. And this time also on LinkedIn and all the other channels.
Yeah. So if you have any suggestions, or you want to tell us what's your favorite startup from the demo day, just send us a message.
Exactly.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.